Story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Thanks for joining us on CoreTV News of this hour. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. No fewer than 50 persons have been dead, with several others injured during the collapse of a 6-story building in the Synagogue Church of All Nations in Ikotu, Lagos on Friday. Ambulances were seen taking people out of the collapsed building to the Isolo General Hospital. There had yet to be an official confirmation of the number of casualties. Policemen were on the ground dispersing crowds who were gathered outside the gate of the collapsed building. National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) were also on ground. LASEMA officials were denied access into the premises of the church, while journalists were also chased away from the scene. People who attempted to take pictures of the scene were harassed by members of the church. The army authorities say troops repelled an attack launched by about 100 Boko Haram insurgents on Kunduga, located about 35 kilometers from Maiduguri, after about 3 hours of fierce fighting. The information is contained in a statement signed by Colonel Timothy Atinga on behalf of the Directorate of Army Public Relations. Atinga disclosed that the terrorists launched what he described as a massive attack at about 5:30 a.m. on Friday. He says Boko Haram also suffered extensive loss in equipment. According to him, 3 Hilux vans and 1 Buffalo vehicle with mounted anti-aircraft guns, 3 general-purpose machine guns, over 30 AK-47 rifles, and 2 global positioning systems were recovered. The army spokesman added that 4 soldiers were wounded, but noted that the area is still being combed for terrorists who may have escaped with bullet wounds. In the meantime, the army has denied that former Niger Delta militants are to be enlisted into the military to boost the ongoing war against insurgency. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Kenneth Menima told journalists in Kaduna that there was no plan to bring ex-militants into the armed forces. General Menima, who spoke on the sidelines of the commissioning of the Radio Diagnosis Center of the 44th Nigerian Army, says the Nigerian military has the capacity to rout out the terrorists. He added that the hospital was part of efforts by the army authorities to boost the health and welfare of military personnel. The nation's rising insecurity profile has continued to generate attention. Minority leader in the House of Representatives Femi Gbadabiamila, who spoke on the sideline of the town hall meeting of the Lagos Central Senatorial District, faulted accusations in some quarters that the criticisms of the PDP-led federal government of the activities of Boko Haram by the opposition All Progressives Congress has a political undertone.
We're in an election year. There will always be brickbats back and forth between contending parties. But on the matter of security, it's not APC that is attacking PDP. It's actually the whole of Nigeria. Civil society says the same thing. The religious community say the same thing, that the government is not doing enough, and that the government is not showing capacity to confront it. It's not APC versus PDP. It's the whole of Nigeria versus PDP. What APC is saying is only echoing what everybody else in Nigeria is saying.
Intrigues playing around the revelation that former Borno State Governor Ali Modu Sharif and past Chief of Army Staff Azubike Jerika are sponsors of
I think
Boko
any
Haram's
normal,
uncalled
decent,
for.
responsible government, for something so serious, the first thing they'll do is to investigate, not turn it into partisan politics or tribal politics. The first thing any responsible government should do with an accusation like that, with something that has troubled this country, the number one problem in this country is security, coming from somebody who you, the federal government, employed, the first thing you need to do is to investigate, and they're not doing that.
Over 8,000 pro-Jonathan groups are expected in Abuja next week for a national summit for good luck support groups. The forum, according to the organizers, is to harmonize the groups for a better coordination ahead of the 2015 general elections. National coordinator of the Good Luck Support Group, Rufai Alkali, disclosed this at a news conference in Abuja. He explained that participating groups are those that scaled through the recent screening exercise. Rufai, who is also the presidential advisor on political affairs, used the briefing to clear the air on funding of the pro-Jonathan groups.
We have set up another committee to go and also do content analysis of all the information we have been able to gather from the screening exercise. It's on the basis of this content analysis, which is not mere academic exercise, that we'll be able to know these groups, who they are, what they are, where they are coming from, and whether they are regional groups, they are state groups, local groups, national groups, gender-related, campaign-related, whatever. We have to know the color because democracy is developing, is expanding. So it's only fair anybody who approaches us and wishes to give us support in whatever form, we must be able to relate with them at that level.
Meanwhile, the pro-Jonathan group behind the Bring Back Good Luck 2015 campaign slogan is still using the hashtag for its advocacy. Members of the Good Luck Initiative for Transformation had Bring Back Good Luck 2015 signs displayed on their t-shirts as they held a roadshow through the Abuja city center. The group, however, is calling on President Jonathan to declare his second-term bid, has pulled down banners and posters with the slogan. The hashtag had widely been criticized as an offensive parody of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, but the leaders of the campaign group do not see it that way.
The hashtag is something synonymous to what people feel should come, what is lost should come back. And the hashtag in reality has different connotations. It is not synonymous to pain, anger, peace, or joy. The hashtag equally, if you look at it, is a Nigerian sign on Naira. So we might be saying a different thing. We might be saying Nigerians come bringing good luck 2015.
In Osun State, the bid by the All Progressives Congress for the tribunal sitting in Osogbo to set aside earlier leave granted to the PDP to inspect election materials used in the August 9 governorship election has failed. Tribunal Chairman Suleiman Ambrusa ruled on the application on Friday. Rashid was there and filed in this report.
As the tribunal sitting in Osogbo reserved ruling on the application of the All Progressives Congress to stop the PDP from inspecting election materials based on defective application, the Justice Sulaiman Ambrusa-led panel averred that the application of the PDP was in order.
That they should set aside the order permitting PDP to inspect was not granted by the tribunal. The tribunal disagreed with us, and that is actually the position of the tribunal on that issue.
The other party has no business inspecting those documents, and what they are doing is to frustrate this process, because we have complained not to maintain this petition. There is the need for us to inspect all the documents that were used during the election.
The PDP was quick to bring another supporting application to court over failed attempts to serve Governor Raouf Aregbesola petition as ordered on Thursday by the tribunal. The party accused the governor of failure to honor earlier court order.
The security agents manning the gate of the first respondent, who is the governor, refused, and in order to avoid conflict, this honorable tribunal should order that this copy of the petition should be pasted at the notice board of the tribunal, and they should deem it as a service in this respect.
Attorney General called one of the council on the other side and said, bring these documents. I have the authority of the governor to collect them so that we don't make any unnecessary issue out of this matter. So bring the documents, and they refused. They said they will come to court today. So they are the one wasting their own time.
Counsels to the two parties are again optimistic of victory at the tribunal.
We are prepared to prosecute our case to maintain this petition, but they are not prepared. They are dancing around to ensure that we didn't get to what we are looking for.
A petition that is doomed to fail. So why don't you let us quickly bury it, as soon as possible? So because it's dead on arrival. So, but well, they don't want it to die early. an untimely death. So, or a timely death rather. So it's on that note that we're saying that the two orders, whichever, we are going to obey the two.
Meanwhile, the case brought against one Victor Aladegolu, who was arrested for allegedly impersonating state security officials on the 9th of August, was stalled today at the State High Court in Osogbo.
The 12th edition of the Lagos Central Senatorial District Town Hall meeting centered on accountability as the true attribute of a good leader. Senator Oluremi Tinubu used the occasion to reel out activities of the upper chambers since the last town hall meeting in June. Ebulomo Adekunle completes the story.
It was a show of stewardship as described by many who attended the town hall meeting hosted by Oluremi Tinubu. She spoke about plenary activities of the Senate, which includes bills passed, motions, investigative reports, oversight functions, which include education and women affairs, and constituency projects.
The Senate considered the report of the Joint Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution and Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on the Electoral Act 2010 Amendment Bill 2014 on 3rd July 2014 and adopted the recommendations of the committee in passing the bill. On July 9, 2014, the Senate also adopted the report of the Committee on Education on Federal Capital Territory College of Education Establishment, etc. Bill 2014 and also passed the bill. The much-awaited report of the Committee on Finance on the alleged unremitted $49.9 billion by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, was considered on 10th July 2014. While the Senate adopted some of the recommendations of the committee, it refused to accede to the demand for subsidy removal.
High point of the event was the award of monetary assistance to widows in the constituency in the tone of 16 million naira, with 650 widows getting 25,000 naira each. Oluremi expressed the necessity of the occasion.
Women are still underpaid. We're underpaid. And like I said, even in our culture, and what I said is not joking matter, that is what happens. When a woman dies in a husband's house, you know what they will do, especially in the Yoruba culture? They will ask a woman to sleep with him that night so that the ghost of the woman won't come and haunt him. So the men know how to settle themselves and take care of themselves. I came up with what transpired in the United Nations, where a bill came up from Gabon. There was a resolution that, they want to look at the plight of widowhood. Even when you go up to the east, you know the plight of widows. We all know. So it's not something to say we're trying to, treat as a trivial matter. It's really biting hard on widows in our culture.
Participants and beneficiaries of the occasion lauded the initiative and prayed for its continuity.
Let me say it's a laudable effort, a commendable one indeed, in the sense that today about 650 widows are given some sort of support to be able to carry on in life. It's something that's very commendable. You should not only add to the good of these people that are the beneficiaries. It's also a way of alleviating poverty in the sense that their life, they are going to do something good with it, as we have advised them in the hall today.
I just want to thank God for my life, for the life of Mrs. Senator Oluremi Tinubu, for at least appreciate us, we widow. Because what I see here today, I don't believe it. Because when I got the invitation, I thought there is something, I don't even count it. But when we got here, at least, for appreciate us here, for giving us at least 25,000 each. We are 650 people in numbers, and I'm one of them. I just want to thank her and thank God for her life.
If the mood of the event is anything to go by, democracy can be described as yielding its dividends when accountability becomes the watchword. Ebulomo Adekunle, CoreTV News, Lagos.
We're on to CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take a break now, and I'll be back with more stories. Stay with us.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe. and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes, and bleeding from the eyes, ears, and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water, or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces, or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees, or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Welcome back. The presidency wants Fulani caterarists to embrace Western education. It also urged them to avoid conflict with their host communities in the run-up to the 2015 general elections. Presidential Advisor on Political Affairs Rafah Al-Khali gave this advice while receiving the leadership of Miyetti Allah Social Cultural Group in Abuja.
Make sure that you send your children to school. Because one of the is education is the foundation of civilization. And education is the instrument of liberation of all societies, historically, and certainly in contemporary times. So the opportunity is now. And then the transformation can start from our own homes. Because by transforming from a traditional style of taking education for granted, we can now take it as a responsibility in our families. Personally, I've been doing my best at the level of promoting education at every level in my life. Maybe I'll have opportunity to say it one day, what I've been doing, apart from what is the formal thing that you see outside. Therefore, my understanding is that there must have been a breakdown of communication between the two otherwise brothers, the farmer and the cattle rearer, because these are virtually two sides of the same coin. A lot of people do not understand that there are many people who are not Fulanis but they have cattle today. Probably more than some of the Fulanis. And there are many Fulanis who do not have cattle. So the perception that every Fulani man is a cattle rearer, I don't think is correct. That is my understanding of it. I have instances where we have leading cattle owners in northern Nigeria who are not Fulanis at all. But no matter, under normal circumstances, there should be closer collaboration between the cattle rearer and the farmer, because there are a lot of benefit the farmer gains by working with the cattle rearer, and there are a lot of benefit the cattle rearer will gain from the farmer. I think we have to re-establish that relationship very quickly.
The inability of the Nigerian authorities to settle pension arrears of many retirees in Nigeria has continued to reverberate across the country. Speaking on a flagship current affairs program, Core Digest, a public affairs analyst, Olabode Oseni, attributed the current travails of pensioners in the country to bad leadership across board.
We are the best in everything in Harvard. We are the best in everything in England, in Germany, in America, in places. And these people are using us to do their own good business. And we are here generating what? Rubbish. So the system we put in place, and why is that system not working, if you want to know, is because there's one pillar, couple of pillars. And I've said it, all the programs have appeared. You know what that pillars are? Rule of law. It is rule of law. You can trace it, and what is the cause of this cancer? Some cancer you cannot trace, you don't know how it started. But there are many cancers that at least research has shown that they know exactly that this is the cause. The cause of bad governance anywhere in the whole world is rule of law. The most nastiest set of human beings are available in other countries. I don't want to say white, black, or yellow. But as nasty as they are contained. They are contained. They cannot misbehave. They cannot afford to steal your money. They cannot afford to take your right. They cannot afford to make sure there's water's not running. There's no light.
We'll take another break now and return with more stories. Stay with us.
Der Torschütze zum zwischenzeitlichen 1:1. Semenike schickt Musa, da ist Ahmed Musa! Und da ist der Ausgleich!
It's a beautiful Saturday evening in the city of Lagos.
Off the turn, Phelps had it, but then Matsui kept going.
Finals. 5 to shoot. Leonard does.
Sports is concerned, and of course, making a difference for all of us here from all our production. I hope all of that happen.
To have you there. South African athlete Oscar Pistorius has been found guilty of culpable homicide after the judge found he killed his girlfriend by mistake. Judge Thukozile Masipa says the athlete had acted negligently when he fired shots through a toilet door, but in the belief that there was an intruder. She stated further that the state had failed to prove the intention to kill River Steenkamp. The judge allowed Pistorius to remain on bail ahead of sentencing, which is to take place on 13th of October. The victim's parents, June and Barry Steenkamp, condemned the verdict, saying it was not justice for River. However, Arnold Pistorius, the athlete's uncle, says the family was deeply grateful to the judge for finding him not guilty of murder and that a big burden had been lifted. South Africa's prosecuting authority revealed it was disappointed Pistorius was not convicted of murder, but said it would wait until after sentencing to decide whether to appeal. The verdict leaves the disgraced sprinter facing up to 15 years in jail, although the judge could suspend the sentence or only impose a fine. The athlete was also found guilty on a charge of negligently handling a firearm that went off in a restaurant. Oscar Pistorius was a picture of composure as the judge announced he was guilty of culpable homicide, a lesser count of murder in South Africa. The U.S. government has imposed new sanctions on major Russian banks, defense and energy firms over Russia's support for separatists in Ukraine. The U.S. penalties came hours after the EU strengthened its economic sanctions against Russia. U.S. citizens are now prohibited from providing loans of longer than 30 days to Sberbank, Russia's biggest bank. The sanctions will also affect Rostec, a major technology and defense firm and technology for Russia's oil industry. The sanctions come despite a fragile ceasefire between Ukraine and pro-Russian separatists who have made big recent gains in eastern Ukraine. The truce has been holding despite ongoing sporadic shooting, but the EU and US say the sanctions can be eased if progress is made on the ground towards peace. Reacting to the EU sanctions, Russian President Vladimir Putin warned that they could undermine the ceasefire in Ukraine. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says Moscow would react in a calm and appropriate way, first and foremost proceeding from the need to defend its interests. That wraps it on CoreTV News this hour. Stay tuned now for the dailies. Stay with us.